Hello, my friends, and welcome to the third season of Brand Your Dream Show. And today with us, amazing guest, Timea Kadar. She's a great expert and she knows everything about events. She's a marketing strategist and she knows how to connect people in London. And I met her in one of the beautiful events which she was hosting. And here is Timea. Welcome,
Hi,
Timea.
hi, Eve. Thank you for the introduction. Hello, everybody.
So tell us more about what you do. What is your area of expertise? Because I know that you wear so many hats.
Thank you so much, Eve. And yeah, it's a bit of an exaggeration that I would know everything about something. But yes, I'm very obsessed with marketing. So I've been in this industry for over 23 years. And what we do at Francis Cooper is planning marketing strategies, including content strategy. Then I'm also a program leader of the Master Digital Marketing Program at Northumbria University, the London campus, which really is great to teach as well. It's really a very favorite area of mine, teaching and training. And then, as you mentioned, I really love connecting people. And this is why I founded London Business Society, and we run events where we also met. So as everybody can see, it can really lead to very fruitful connections and great achievements. So yeah, these are the things that I do in a nutshell.
You know, I'm absolutely excited about your personality because I happened to discover you pretty much by accident. Somebody recommended me to join the event, and then I saw you. I didn't even know you are an organizer. We had lovely conversation, and I found it out after some time that
I
it's
remember
actually your
that.
event. So, what I want to ask from you, because I think that your perspective is not just valuable, but also you see it from so many different angles. The visibility for business, it's always a part of marketing, online or offline. For sure, we have to be visible. People need to see us. But also, there is a big part of the personal connection, which comes through networking. So you have this two major perspective. And I would like to know, what do you think about the visibility for business? How people need to be more visible to become brands? Maybe do they need to show up more often, or do they need to show up more open, or they need to show up like some personas? But we will be talking about personas in authenticity part of this interview. So more about how do you think people need to show up, if they need to show up at all?
Mm-hmm. Yes, of course they need to. But so about visibility, in my perspective, it has two layers. The first layer is probably what most people would think of it, is that how people perceive you, and to be in front of your target audience, so that they know what you do, how you stand out, and where your service will take them. So it's not enough for them to know who you are, but how and who you have and where you can take them. Super important. And I will come to the second layer in a bit, but just about this first layer, is very important that your target audience knows about you not only at the initial phase of the awareness, or the consideration phase of the customer journey, but across the whole journey. So it means that when they are about to decide or make a decision about going with one or the other service provider, you should be visible there. Because we can see a lot of examples where people are very good at the initial phase. They show up posting, very active, and once they get an inquiry, they disappear. They don't get back as quickly as others. They are not really involved in the whole customer journey of the person. Or when the prospect is ready to buy, there's no more need to pester them with anything else. They are ready to buy. Do they know exactly how to buy, what the next steps are, what will happen? So this is very important with visibility, to make sure that you're visible, that the company is visible and in front of the target audience through the whole customer journey, even when the purchase happens, even after it happens. How many times it happens that a prospect says, yes, I'm happy to sign the contract, and the company is not getting back with enough information, or often they sign the contract and they disappear. And it's not that they don't want to deliver, they will deliver, but we should be in front of them and visible for that prospect or client during the whole customer journey. So this is layer one. And the second one is when you are not visible only in front of your target audience, but in front of a larger audience. And why would you do that? Because they will not buy from you, right? If it's not your target audience, if they don't need what you offer, or they think they don't need, why to be visible in front of them? Because the layer two of visibility is when you become the source of information, connections, inspiration. And this is the really higher level of visibility, when people come to you when they need a solution, even if you don't offer it. But they will come to you and ask, do you know somebody who, and they trust you, that you will give them a good tip, a recommendation, a good connection, and you will be able to connect people. And this is really, really important, because then you can be visible in front of even more people who will be grateful to you, because you connect them with trusted people, or you refer business to them, and you really become like the source of connections, or people think of you whatever they need. And you will have a little bit control over who is working with whom, right? So this is really the kind of the networking bit, when it's not only being in front of who I could make business with. If they don't become a client, not everybody needs to be my client, not everybody needs what I'm doing, right? But I can still help them. And this visibility is really a very, very useful one. So these are the two layers. I hope it made sense.
I absolutely love the aspect that you start talking about the customer journey, because like the way we onboarding clients, the way we get into clients, the way we actually handle the customer support afterwards. And we had several wonderful conversations, already recorded interviews in upcoming seasons. So people, please follow us because there will be people who actually talking about what happened with clients after we deliver everything. So like, customer support. And you start talking about how we onboarding clients through networking, through connections, through visibility. Brilliant. I love it. Absolutely. And yes, I agree with you. Many people don't even think about this aspect and show up for the sake of show up. So just to summarize your answer, I think like there is no point to show up for the sake of show up. We really need to have a goal and understand what are we doing there, what is our major goal, the layer two, the big vision, the layer one, the smaller vision. So it's really important. I agree. So the different question, same different angle, different question, but sometimes it's actually the same question. I feel like authenticity is often the same question, because when we speak about visibility, many people start talking about we have to be ourselves, we have to be who we are and all the things, and they start answering basically the question which I didn't ask yet. But when I will ask you about authenticity, I would like to discuss this aspect. Many people believe that when they go to networking, or they show up online, or they show up on meetings with clients, they need to create so to say persona. And in fact, that's why they're afraid of building brand, because it will like, frame them in a very small, narrow niche, and they will never get out of that. So they feel like jailed. And my question is, from the experience, what do you feel? What is the level of authenticity we need to show in networking, in marketing, to people who know us already a little bit, to people who saw us from that bigger audience, or to people who know us from our blogging or social media? Because personally, I'm an introvert. And when I get to networking meeting, I taught myself to not freak out with all this crazy amount of amazing people. By the way, I visited so many of your events and people are amazing. But as an introvert, instantly when I get in and I saw all the people who I don't know, I'm like, and then let's start. So it's always a little bit challenging. So what is your recommendation and suggestion about how to be authentic in a way it will benefit our marketing and our businesses.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I really love that you mentioned this, that when the question comes, what does it mean being authentic? Then this is a very typical answer, that just be yourself. And obviously we get a lot of these pieces of advice from Instagram and LinkedIn. But how to be ourselves, and which aspect of ourselves, really? So because we might be a little bit different and might behave a little bit different as with a client, or with a friend, or with a client we've known for a longer time, or with a business partner, and so on and so forth, or when we meet someone for the first time, or when we meet someone, for several times. And this might be a little bit different. Being authentic, in my view, is about knowing your core values, talking about those core values, and ideally, you can work very well together with people who have similar core values. So what I can see, that people in a lot of cases look for people who are from the same industry, or who could be a good fit client-wise, or a good prospect, but it's much more important to align along the same core values. No, our core values, their core values. And if we follow those core values across all our aspects, whatever hat we are wearing, really, then we become authentic. So just as an example, if, let's say, just as an example, one of our core values, which is one of mine, is being transparent, then, and I'll talk about it, that it will mean that I will be very straightforward with the client about things that I can deliver, things I cannot, or when things go wrong, right? I can be very straightforward in a post. I will talk about my weaknesses. I will be vulnerable, because that's transparency, right? So this is the core value. And even when I'm teaching at a university to students, I have a voice, and I'm not changing into a neutral net lecturer, or a very, kind of like I'm above everybody, but I'm again very transparent about everything. So this is a very crucial point of it, that authenticity is, yes, being ourselves. And still, how many people like try to be somebody else when they are at a presentation, they are at an event, everybody tries to be similar to others, while authenticity is about knowing what matters to me, what doesn't matter to me as much, right? And being clear about it. And authenticity also requires some courage, because,
Mhm.
as you say, as you're an introvert, and we have quite a few of the guests who are introverts, and I'm always telling them that you don't have to pretend you're not. You don't have to pretend that, oh, you love. You can tell the other you're meeting that, you know what, I'm kind of an introvert. I'm not so good with these icebreakers and, brilliant conversations, but it doesn't matter, because you're brilliant in your profession. So yeah, that's also about it. If I'm an introvert, then I'm talking about it, and I don't want to pretend I'm not. So this is probably, and as I'm saying, core values. I've always noticed whenever the core values were not aligned, but I still, for some reason, went ahead with a partnership or a client, it never worked. And I regret doing that, but I did that, right? So I'm saying it now. And
We will
whenever
do it.
yeah, and whenever the core values matched, and it was a completely different industry, and then it
Mhm.
was a brilliant collaboration, or a brilliant, friendship in a way, then it can grow to something else, or just a thought partnership, or just, a good conversation with someone. So probably that I could summarize: to know your core values, and to look for people with similar core values, and to really stick to those core values, even if you have to lose a client or business. uh, go along those core values, which is sometimes difficult. Sometimes we lose money because we stick to
Yeah.
those core values.
I teach the same thing. And
Oh,
you just told
right.
me exactly the same what I teach. And I love it, obviously, because yeah, I agree with it 100%. And it's amazing touch on authenticity, because until now, nobody was talking about values in a context of authenticity.
Mhm.
And yeah, I can agree that it is 100% what we stand for, not necessarily if we open every single secret about ourselves, because for many
Yeah,
people authenticity means tell everything about
yeah.
yourself, which is unnecessary. So 100% agree. Brilliant answer. I'm excited.
Thank you.
So in context of that, and we touch this a little bit in terms of communication, what do you think from this core value perspective, from the perspective that we need to show up, what is the best strategy to approach networking? And I'm asking you because I started my networking long time ago, and despite I approach every single networking from perspective I never did it before, because every networking is different. I think because of my networking on social media, it helped me a lot when I was evacuating from Ukraine. I pretty much know everybody in many different countries, and they help me, and people are amazing. I'm so grateful. So this skill is incredibly useful to connect with people, not just for business, but also for life, for friendship. As you said, we connect not only for business, which I think is one of the upcoming questions before I will ask you the best tips. So what is the best way to approach networking the way it will give you the best benefits, but you will not necessarily look on that like a harvest or something? Because I know many people okay, I'm going for network, I'm going to harvest
Yeah,
contact or something like that.
that's
And
the
I know it's
worst
a bad
approach. That's the
approach.
worst
So
approach. Yeah.
what is the best one?
Yeah. So in networking, two uh, two very important things that matter: know when to give, so giving and asking, and knowing when to give, when to ask. Right? We talk a lot about giving. I think that it's not me who says it for the first time, that it's very important to start with giving. But also the second thing is important: know when to ask. So, as I said, and now I'm linking back to what I started with, it takes off the pressure of you if you go to events, and really just try to look at it as not a client generation method, but just kind of getting to know people, understanding what they need, and thinking of who I can connect them with. And this is what I get from a lot of people who are new to London or to their business or whatever. Oh, I don't have many connections. How can I connect them with? You don't need your previous connections. You go to events and you will be able to meet people who could be a good match, but they just haven't met each other. So that's a very easy way and a very quick way to anybody who is arriving to the country or to the business or to a new industry. And if you go to a few events and you really listen with the intention to give, with the intention to connect them, you will find a lot of opportunities to right away connect them and make some kind of giving and favors out, right? So it's not about going there and getting the business. You know what I always tell people, networking is not a performance marketing, okay? It's not a lead generation method. There are very good marketing methods for that, but networking is not one. So when people ask me, oh, what kind of people attend your events? What kind of industries? And obviously they ask this because they would like to see if it is the industry or the kind of people they would like to have as clients. No, it's not a good idea, because even if their ideal client is there, that guest is not coming with the intention of hiring another, right? So it's much more beneficial to give first. And this could be connections, this could be, oh, I know somebody, or this could also be consulting them on something. So really these kind of givings. But then you lay the foundations and you really giving out favors, helping. And at the same time, when you are organizing an event or you are running a training course, you are doing something, and you can get back to people and say, obviously you won't tell them that, you know what, it's your turn. But what you can, and you're not selling to them, okay? So it's not like, okay, I helped you, I made a connection, now please buy. No, you just get back to them and say, do you know somebody who? I have this training, or I need 2 more clients for my this and that business. I need this and that. Do you know somebody? Could you connect me with somebody? So it's never selling to them. They might recognize that actually I would like to do it, but we never. That would kill any connection when somebody is coming back and saying, oh, could you come? Would you like to sign up? No, that I really don't recommend, but it's absolutely fine to go back to them that can we just, and you can have a quick meeting, you can sit together and see their connections, who they can connect you with. And this is what makes it really this whole cycle. And obviously then it goes on and on. So they can come back to you and say that, oh, now I need help. And I think it's really, really important to ask and show when we need that kind of help. So we don't have to pretend that everything is a sellout, that we are so successful. If I'm always selling out, then why would anybody help me, right?
Mm-hmm.
So these kind of things, how networking helps, and it takes time. So it's not like on Monday I'm making a connection and then on Tuesday I'm calling them that, hey, now I need something back, So yeah, it takes time. It's not performance marketing. It's not. So it has to be kept in mind.
Following this, I instantly got a question like when you started, and I'm like, oh, I have a question. So that's an
Yeah.
interesting question because this, I think, a problem for many networkers who start networking. The first one is obviously, to have some conversation starters, but that's, I think, not really difficult. The one with follow up, however, you start touching this about like, give me some recommendations and things like this. But what is your strategy for follow up? Because many times, many people following up, and it feels like either they sell,
Mm-hmm.
either they want to sell indirectly to me, which is even like too obvious that they try to sell me, but
Yeah,
pretend
you're
that they
right.
don't,
That's a
you know.
no. Yeah.
Then another thing that they dealing with me as if I am a number, so they just send the message to everybody from the previous event, and whoever get like in touch, they then following up, which is again a sort of harvesting technique, which I personally don't like.
Mm-hmm.
So, what is your process to follow up people who make sense, and how you choose who makes sense for you to follow up and who not?
Yeah, that's a very, very good question. And obviously, I totally agree with you that this is a no-no to send the copy-paste message and just to see who comes back, or to invite them into your funnel or consultation, whatever. That doesn't work. So we follow up with the intention to get to know the other and see how we can help. So we are still on the helping side. And this also helps introverts, by the way, because it's really not about talking about yourself, right? So who to follow up with, how to decide. It's when you go to a networking event, there are a lot of people, there's a huge temptation to talk to many of them, and I can see some people are quite nervous when they realize that, oh, I haven't talked to those people, I haven't talked to those. It's much better to have fewer but more meaningful conversations where you can get to know a bit more about the other. And what I do is that I follow up, and yeah, it's very important to follow up. Many people don't even follow up, but I follow up with referring back to our conversation so that it doesn't feel like a copy paste. And I would mention, and you know what, you can put seeds into that. You can ask the person about their proudest moments. If they talk about their family, I always ask the names of their children or the name of their child, so that later on I can ask, oh, how is Andrew? It sounds much better later on, or I hope the theater was good that you talked about, that you will see how was the show. Okay, so I really try to do it like that, and you will see that the impact is amazing, because it feels like it's a really a real relationship, and not just this, you've put them into the funnel of the follow-ups and into your CRM system and doing the math. So this is what I try to do, but as you said, it won't work with 100 people. So I try to really keep it under control. How do I, from my perspective, as I said earlier, I'm not selecting them based on who could be good prospects. I'm selecting them based on who aligns with my core values. And you can find it out from the conversation. So let's say if somebody talked to me and never asked about me, I don't follow up. So that's a very good red flag, or a very red flag. Yeah, or anything that I can feel that doesn't align. It's fine, because we are different. So I'm still happy if they are there. Obviously, there are some. If they don't have any values, if don't follow any values, then we don't need them. But that's another thing. So I really follow up with those who share core values, which align with mine, and I don't mind which industry they are from. And it's usually what really helps, I'm not doing it, but I think it comes back very, very well with what you plan to do, I think this evening, that it's very powerful if you send a video message.
Mhm.
But I have to admit that I'm not doing it. So I really plan to come to your class if I can. But it's really powerful if you're doing a personalized one.
Mhm.
Second best, I'm doing that. I'm sending a message, and then I'm trying to set up an additional meeting or inviting to another event. And it's really important that the additional meeting is about 20 minutes. So, because that I can see that's another problem, that people try to make it an hour long, and it's very hard to find an hour. It's absolutely not needed to block an hour from our lives. So if we
Mhm.
do little short ones, it's much more condensed, much more to the point, and we can get to know more about the person. And really what I'm asking is that I'd like to find out more about who I can connect you with, what you're doing, how you are doing it. So this could be a good follow-up. It's also good if you can, and if you are in time, to visit them at the place of work. So if they have some kind of an office or shop, that could also be a good one. But obviously you have to keep a very good balance of your work and client generation and doing these follow-ups. But it's absolutely worth it. I can
Mhm.
tell everybody.
That's absolutely brilliant. I really like that, you wrap it up with these values and like, you following the same topic very consistently. And I think you have brilliant memory because if somebody will tell me names of all the children and all the family, I will 100% forget all of them. So I will just need to, write it
I
down, like
try to
speak it
remember.
and give me a
Yeah,
little
that's
memory. I
well.
always record everything because I keep forgetting things, names, dates, everything. So, yeah, but that's my personal problem. Definitely try to memorize everything. That's a good suggestion for those who can. So, for sure. Uh, and yes, I love this idea, like, because I was new to London when I think I joined your event. It was probably third event or something like this. So I didn't know many people, but because I start visiting these events almost straightforward when I get to London, I now referring people because I know way more people, so I can actually find
That's
referrals
wonderful.
for
Thank you
different.
for sharing that. And you're a brilliant example. You really arrived in London. It was really a very, very sad situation why you came. It was not, like everybody else, oh, I just go and will try myself. But it was because of the war. You had all the anxiety for those people who are at home, and the ongoing war, which is still ongoing. And you did wonderfully. You came to events, you opened it up, and now you're connecting people. I think this is a wonderful example, really.
To be honest, I had this strategy for some of my clients. That's why I was obliged to do it because as I recommend this kind of idea for many of my friends, because I have many clients from immigration background or something like that, and I told them this would be my strategy if I will have to be at your place, and here we are. So I just had to follow this strategy because it would be wrong if I wouldn't. So it is actually a good strategy. So what are your best recommendations to show up, to create your marketing strategy, to be, very successful with events? What direction will you choose? I don't know. So what are your best tips
Only
for our
events?
viewers?
You're asking only events or generally marketing?
Whatever best three
Okay.
tips you choose, it's up to you.
Okay. So first one is a bit technical. Email marketing. So whatever you do, start building a database. This is what many businesses forget about. And this is again about showing up, because there is another channel where you can show up in their mailbox in a one-to-one relationship, even if in writing. And this is and it works brilliantly. So if you really, this is one of the first things that you start, then apart from showing up on social media or events, whatever you do on social media and events, if you do it organically, so if you don't advertise, you cannot really target who will see it or not. While in email marketing, you can build the database in specific segments, and you can target them. Or just another example, you can target those who already bought your service and those who haven't. While when you post on LinkedIn, everybody will see it, even if they already, even those people will see it who already bought the service, right? So that's really important. And also it's that database is really, really yours. They get the email into their mailbox. Yes, not everybody will see it. Some goes to spam and blah, blah, blah. But in email marketing, it's possible to build if you are consistent and if your tone, and it comes back to authenticity. So you really talk to them in your voice and not in a newsletter voice, then you can build amazing relationships and they will come back to you. They will message back to you. What do you want to add something to this?
I have a question.
Yeah.
I will have a few follow-up questions when you will give your tips
Oh, yeah,
because I'm
absolutely.
always looking for some clarification. Because I never read emails, honestly, and I don't send them often. I have a database, but sometimes I send. I'm not consistent for sure. Question is, how many emails per week do you think works?
Okay, let me ask you first. Do you read emails?
No.
You don't email with anybody.
I rarely read emails. I mean, I've been forced to really go to email conversations in the UK, but before that, all my conversations were on messengers. And yeah, I didn't
Okay,
use
but you still
emails
have
for a
some
long
emails
time.
with, not newsletters, but you have emails with contacts and potential
Uh,
clients.
I have to, but honestly speaking, I stopped working with emails maybe 10 years ago or more
Oh,
because
that's
there was a lot
interesting
of
that you
spam.
don't. Oh my God.
So because of the spam, you're like, okay, you're fed up
Okay.
reading
So
that.
you know what? This is, I don't want to now go too much into an email marketing course, but this is what everybody's, and I totally believe you that you're not even working in emails, but everybody says they are not reading emails. But if I open my, or anybody's or my clients' dashboard of email marketing, I can see that people actually opened it and we can see that people made a purchase even. And as you can see, also e-commerce companies are using it. So whenever you land on a fashion e-commerce site and there's this pop-up saying that you get a 20% off or free shipping for your email, this is why they're doing it, because email marketing works and people are opening it and using it. So this is just in
Mhm.
brackets, okay? And answering, and obviously you say you don't read, not even work emails, but many people actually read those, and this is how they communicate with even friends or family apart from the other channels, right? And the key here really is not to write a newsletter, but an email. Okay, so this is a communication, a one-to-one communication, and not a one-to-many, even if it technically is, but it shouldn't sound like. So that's a very important point. And you said how many emails, and I will freak everybody out. Okay, the most important is that it's consistent, right? But by consistent, I don't mean it's once a month, because it means that normally it's like 11 or 12 a year, which means that if they don't see it for 2 months, they will not see you for 3 months, right? Because of
Mhm.
the, you know. So I would send every 1 or 2 weeks. And then they get used to it. They will, if it's good, if it's really talking to them, if it really resonates with what they are thinking of, then they will definitely open it. And many times they get back to you, they answer the email. This applies to consultants or to service-based businesses. Obviously, in e-commerce, that's another thing, because then you send people the latest offers on dresses. I'm always opening those. And sometimes I'm just looking through and buy something I didn't even have the intention, but they
Mhm.
said that there's 30% off on all party wear, and I don't even need another.
Mhm. Mhm.
Anyway, so this is my answer here, that
So about one a week, and it has to be personal. This is what I really like, that what you say, that you write to one person, even though it's technically to many people. It's an
absolutely.
interesting focus. Many people speak about this, but because they verbalize it slightly differently, people don't really get it. So most of the email marketing look like a newsletter. So
Yes,
that's an important point.
which is odd. And I have to tell you that that's another way of visibility, building relationships online
Mhm.
for introvert people.
Yeah.
Fantastic. And to sell. So this is a very important source of my business, both for the events and for the consultancy or training or whatever I do. Email is, and you know what? You can have various, like I have I have an audience for events, then another who are interested in training. So you can be much more tailored and much more relevant to them than when you put an organic post on LinkedIn.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So what is your second tip?
Okay, so the second tip is really what I talked a lot about. So I think this would be really not, I don't want to miss the opportunity to mention it as a tip. Go to networking events with the intention of hearing people, just making some connections with whoever is there, and make it as your habit, which again doesn't mean that you have to do it 3 times a week, because always you have to keep a very good balance of also, doing your work, following it up. So do it, but make it regular. It also happens to people that they decide they now will do it. They go to 3 months, and for 2 months they don't go. So you have to, or they go to one, they tell me that, oh, this was fantastic, but they don't come back only 6 months later. This is not the way to build relationships. So the events give you the opportunity to, when you come back regularly, and you can have a few where you can see that the organizers and the most of the attendees align along your core values. You have a few ones where you go back regularly, and then you will build very, very quickly, as you mentioned, a very good base of people who know you. Mm-hmm. This is, if I can add another tip B here, or the third tip, or I don't know, is that take those conversations. So it's online and offline, always. Like networking event, you go there, you talk to them, but then on LinkedIn, follow them. So it's another opportunity that people miss, that, yes, let's connect on LinkedIn. Okay, yes, okay, fine. But then we never really connect on LinkedIn. So that's a very important bit, that if I connect on LinkedIn, I can send that message, then I can comment on what they do, I can recommend them things, I can connect them with somebody else, I can tag them. So that's a very important bit, to really connect on LinkedIn then, and vice versa. There are people who we get to know on LinkedIn, they just see that they align along our core values, we comment, we are very good. Invite them to, I'm going to this event, are you coming? You see, so it's another good way of following up, and then you can be really efficient when you are not just following up yourselves, but you go together to another event, and then you don't have to go alone. So I think that this really, really takes a lot of pressure off of people, when you know that I'm going to an event, I don't have to stress about having enough leads there. I don't have to stress a lot about, oh, was it worth or not? Because yes, you cannot lose with attending it, but then it really, really has to be. I think consistency, as with anything, is quite hard. But this would be my second tip.
I probably aim in like one event of yours per month, because I started like with way more
Yeah.
usually, and I realized I'm not following up, and it just doesn't make sense, because yeah, it's good to visit and see all the people and build connections, and I start seeing the same people on different events, by the way. So
Yeah,
I
and
think I
yeah,
invited a few people
also
from
visit.
different network to your network.
Yeah,
So
yeah, it's good. But and also between those two events, it's LinkedIn online. So a
yeah.
combination of online and offline could work very, very well, really.
Exactly. And I start building this like more meaningful connections in time, because like I try to look for the balance between different networking events and following up. So it's actually make meaning. It's not like, okay, I visited 100 events per month,
Yeah, you're
sent
totally right.
20 emails and things like this.
You're
It's
totally
numbers,
right.
numbers.
And it's also about asking the right questions. So it's very important, if I might add to this tip, is that it's very important not just to ask, what do you do? Because they will say that they are a property investor, they are a brand designer, they are a what. And you know many of those, right? And it's good to know, because at least you have to know it. But probably what was your best work? What are you the most proud of? Can you tell me about your current clients? Because that will really give you that meat, that story, that example, which you later on can use with a connection. I mean, it's very hard to connect with someone saying that, you know what, I know a PPC specialist, because everybody knows a lot. But what makes them different? What is their content? What is their current achievement? I think that's really, really a good question. Also, it makes it just an interesting conversation then, rather than just, oh, are you okay? Wow. Okay. So yeah.
I love it. So what is your third tip?
Okay, third tip, and this is very important, and I'm so happy. I'm using every channel to talk about it, so I will use this one. Thank you for the opportunity. It's about dedicating part of our content strategy or visibility to others, giving it to others. The engagement we can have on LinkedIn, the visibility we have, sometimes let's focus that light on others. And it's very, very important, because I did a very informal and not representative research, reviewing some 300 posts which were on my feed. And out of that, I think 3 or 4 was from a charity, but it was directly from the charity. And I don't really see, there are some very good examples. I have to say that there are some people who talk about charities. They have some kind of campaigns and donations. So this is really, really amazing. And I would like to see more of these. That's how to say it. And it's about charities as well, but it's also about others. When the post is about recommending somebody else without agenda. So it's not like, oh, she's my client and this is why I'm talking about it. Not because we do a collaboration or whatever. No, I just want you to now divert your attention to that person from me. And then it's great for introverts. You don't have to always talk about yourself. Everybody, or a lot of people who are a little bit afraid of personal brand, they say that, I don't want to talk about myself all the time. And you don't have to talk about yourself all the time, because it's really boring. Talk about the people who inspire you, who are around you, who are great. And I did this campaign in before Christmas, this human advent calendar. This is also last minute.
I saw it. Yeah, it was brilliant, by the way.
And you know what, I just thought it will be great to say thanks to people who helped me. So every day, obviously, I presented a person who helped me, and it was not about then tying it back to myself. It was about adding the links, why people should connect with them. And there were a lot of good connections from my connections and to those people who they haven't known each other. And the feedback was amazing. So I got this feedback from many people that it was great. So we need this. We need to say that, okay, this is my content strategy. I planned as many posts. Let's dedicate 10% or 15% to somebody else. And then you can have not necessarily only charities, not necessarily only people who need support. It's just to other people, because then then it becomes, you know what, I can not only see you or not only see the person, but also their connections. Also, you know, it also talks about you, who your connections are and who you introduce to the public. So and you can always find, I mean if somebody would like to do that, they can say that, okay, every Friday or one last Friday of the month is about featuring a connection. A very easy one.
Guess what? That's exactly how Brand Your Dream show started a long time ago.
Yeah, and you know what, and yes, and this is very important, and this is like exactly what you do. So this show is not about you, but still it is about you in a way, but it's still now you put me in the limelight, which I'm very, very grateful for. But yeah, this is exactly what I'm talking about, that we should be conscious about it. A lot of people are doing it now and then ad hoc, but when you are conscious about dedicating a part of your content, marketing content plan to this is really great. And then you already have some content ideas, so you don't have to struggle with finding content.
Yeah, and I can tell you that this strategy can give you so many more extension for the content strategy, because with this show, I already planning the book, I already planning the podcast, I already planning
Exactly.
for so many things. So congratulations, you now revealed a very big plan.
Yeah, as you're right. Yeah, that it really helps you as well, and this is why I recommend it, because obviously everything I recommend goes to in a point to make it efficient for everybody. But really, yeah, you don't have to think of the idea. You can present somebody and it gives more variety, and it's still
Yeah.
about you, who you recommend, really.
And
So,
after all, my goal with this kind of content is more to help other entrepreneurs to learn from the best experts in marketing, because it's a big difference when somebody give you some random content strategy and on the other hand, they speak about their own experience. So it's completely different perspective and help people to learn not just from the good theory or good advice, but also from mistakes. Because many times we talk about
yeah,
what mistakes we did
yeah,
and stuff like this,
you're
what we
right.
didn't like.
That's a very good tip, also to include mistakes. So yeah, there could be a lot of tips, but I really wanted to now highlight these three ones. I hope it's helpful.
I absolutely love your suggestions. It really makes sense. It's brilliant. It's absolutely connected to values. And I think we will name this interview something about values.
Yeah,
So it
values
will
and
be powerful.
visibility. That sounds like a good training course. Values and
Ab-
visibility.
exactly. So how people can connect with you?
I'm happy if they connect me with on LinkedIn and search for my name, Timea Kadar, or come to one of my events where they can also hopefully meet you once a month. So it's London Business Society. We are on Eventbrite, but we are all over LinkedIn as well. So it's very hard to miss. If someone connects with me, they have to expect that there's a lot coming from me posted, not in messages, but I post a lot.
So it's perfect. Basically, for all our international crowd, please connect with Timea on LinkedIn. And for people from London, they can come in person and just visit and
Yeah,
connect.
absolutely. And for your international crowd, because I like to take this opportunity, hello everybody. I networking tips still apply to you. There are amazing online networking platforms, and I'm very happy to send you a list if you want. There's Global Chamber, for example, but many of the networking events are run also online, not ours. But there's a very good way of connecting with people, setting up the one-to-one, and you can still be involved and you can still connect people with each other. So it still applies when it's not face-to-face.
You just come with a brilliant idea. Let's create a little link with a gift where you give the link of to all these events which you want to recommend and they will connect with you
Yeah,
through
they don't have to
email.
sign up. They just contact me and I will send them the link. Okay.
Let's do email strategy. Come on. It was one of the suggestions.
No, you have to know when to give and to ask.
Just kidding. So
And
thank you so much.
but yeah, no, just to finish that
Mm.
when you think of even email strategy, when you want to build your email database, obviously they have to sign up for a reason, and this is very good what you mentioned, that it doesn't have to be a downloadable guide all the time. Sometimes it's just about like, we have an event newsletter and we tell people that if you put your name on the list, we will tell you when our next event is. So sometimes it's not, so whatever I told you, and it might seem like, oh my God, it's really exhausting or overwhelming, but start with little steps and start not putting a lot of stress on yourself, and it will work out fine.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for all these tips and recommendations because I learned a lot, and that's another part of the show. I love to learn from great experts like yourself, and you just give so much of very thoughtful inspiration, I would say. It's like, okay, this is where you go, gently go. It
Thank
was
you,
really
Eve. I
lovely.
also enjoyed it a lot talking with you, and what you added as additional points was really useful. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And hopefully, I will see you on your next event.
Yeah, see you there.